They say never judge a book by its cover. But one cop was about to make the biggest mistake of his life. On a quiet afternoon, cars moved slowly along Main Street as an elderly black man with gray hair, dressed in simple but neat clothes and leaning on a walking stick, carefully crossed the road. His movements were slow but carried a quiet dignity. Suddenly, a police car pulled up, sirens blaring, and a young officer jumped out, his face twisted with annoyance. "Old man, can't you walk faster? You're holding up traffic!" He barked loudly, his words cutting through the air like a blade. People on the sidewalks turned to look, some whispering, others frowning, but no one dared to speak up. The old man remained silent, his calm gaze fixed on the impatient cop. But the lack of response only fueled the officer's arrogance. "Next time, stay home if you can't keep up like everyone else." He shouted again, loud enough for the whole street to hear. The elderly man continued his walk without a word, stepping onto the sidewalk with quiet strength, though the humiliation hung heavy in the air. Just moments later, a sleek black car pulled up at the curb, and out stepped none other than the chief of police, surrounded by senior officers. The crowd stiffened as the chief walked past everyone and straight toward the same elderly man. To the young cop's shock, the chief removed his cap, shook the man's hand with deep respect, and said, "Sir, I didn't know you'd be visiting today." The officer's mouth went dry as whispers rippled through the crowd. The old man was not just anyone. He was Judge Henry Wallace, a highly respected retired war veteran, a community leader, and the very man who had once mentored the chief himself. The young cop's face turned pale as the chief turned to him in anger and said, "Do you have any idea who you just disrespected? This man has given more to this town than you can imagine." Finally, Judge Wallace spoke, his voice steady but filled with wisdom. "Son, you don't need to know who a person is to treat them with dignity. Respect should never be reserved for titles or uniforms. Every human being deserves it." The officer lowered his head in shame as the crowd erupted in quiet applause. But just before the judge left, he delivered one final twist. With a calm smile, he said, "And by the way, officer, tomorrow you'll be standing in my courtroom to answer for your behavior." The crowd gasped, the officer's knees weakened, and he realized his careless arrogance had destroyed his reputation in seconds. That day, the lesson was clear. True respect is not given to positions but to people, and those who fail to see it will pay the price. If you found this story powerful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it so more people can hear stories that inspire respect, humility, and change.